yesterday I let Jackson set his alarm for 3:30 a.m. to get up to play the new release of Fortnite with all his buddies online.
What? Oh, boy.
Yeah. I cannot drag this kid out of bed at any time for any reason. But there he was in front of the TV. Very few dad moves left, but here's one that I used. At 6 a.m., I made him take a break and eat a bowl of Magic Spoon. 140 calories a serving, 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. See, I am caring for my child. I'm nourishing him. He went on to play until 1 p.m., over 9 hours of Fortnite before lunch.
Oh, my God.
I did pull out another dad move, which is dad move and dick move, very fine line.
Yeah.
I forbid him from napping for the rest of the day.
That's the equivalent of like, oh, you want to have a smoke? Here, you're going to smoke the entire pack. Yeah.
Anyways, you can go to magicspoon.com/nodunks to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. Be sure to use our promo code NODUNKS at checkout to save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/NODUNKS and use the code NODUNKS to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring the episode.
Flamingo! Yeah!
Good morning, Sweet World, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Wednesday, June 23rd. I'm J.E. Skeets, rolling with the homie, Tass Mellis.
Basketball.
Got my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey, yo, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Finally, the man, the myth, the legend, making the magic happen is JD.
Hello.
There he is. Here we are. Shout out to the stream team joining us live right now on YouTube here on a Wednesday. Smash that like button. Leave your comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Keep sending in your questions and comments for the next Beach Steppin' podcast. Hit the beach yesterday on a Tuesday morning. But email them in, guys. NoDunks@theathletic.com all week long, or you can tweet them in at NoDunksInc. And finally, go grab your No Dunks merch over at NoDunks.com. Okay, fun show lined up. We have our Eastern Conference Finals preview and predictions. Yes, Hawks versus the Bucks tip off tonight, game 1. So we'll get into that. Talk a little bit about the NBA draft lottery, the winners and losers, some of our favorite moments. But we start by throwing an alley-oop to my man Tass here. Ayton soars for the last second oop as the Suns beat the Clippers. An insane game. Kept us all up pretty late here on the East Coast. But Tass, have at it. What'd you think of that one?
I loved it. What a phenomenal game. I mean, this thing had it all. A team never up double digits throughout the entire game. So you're just drawn in because you just didn't know where it was going to go, especially with the coaching of these two guys. Like Monty Williams lets Mikal Bridges under 3 minutes left shoot when he was sort of invisible all game. He was 1 of 5 all game. He hit 1 field goal. They run a play for him out of a timeout for Bridges to hit a 3, and he did. Mm-hmm. Everybody is making plays. Usually in that situation, you just go to your best player, right? Devin Booker, you're coming off a 40-point game. You got this. Take us home, man. But the coaching was matched from the other side. Patrick Beverley was starting in this game for the first time in a month, and he did a great job against Devin Booker. So Devin Booker was sort of taken out of this game. I mean, everything is just sort of puzzling, things you wouldn't expect. Cameron Payne was the leading scorer of this game, 29 points. A guy, released from his last 2 NBA teams. He went to the G League. He went to China. He scored 29. He had the up and under in the lane. He saved Dario Saric from being a Ben Simmons when he didn't dunk the ball. I mean, he was getting to the rim. He was doing everything. Obviously, Deandre Ayton with 24 points. He had that first huge alley-oop. I thought that would be his biggest alley-oop. Gorgeous plays everywhere. Even everybody, like Patrick Beverley, again, starting for the first time in a month. Great move by Ty Lue. He pump faked on a 3, looked at his defender, and then hit a 3 in his face. I mean, how? Who's writing this stuff like this? And then getting to the end of the game.
Yeah.
The villain, you have the villain in Patrick Beverley. This game definitely has it all. The ridiculous flop on Devin Booker, getting in his face, headbutting him, by accident or whatever, and then saying to him hey man, we're friends, the fake high five. Devin Booker's no, I'm not going to give you a high five, man. I played basketball against you. I hate you. And we almost had 2 game winners right at the end there, with Devin Booker hitting the go-ahead shot, 27 seconds left, and Paul George, 22 seconds left, only to set up a Patrick Beverley out-of-bounds call, which was nuts. But all that stuff with Patrick Beverley, I was very happy that the Phoenix Suns ended this game on the Jay Triano alley-oop. Mm-hmm. Jay Triano, former coach of the Phoenix Suns, he told Tyson Chandler, you know what, man? On an inbounds play, there is no offensive goaltending. You can score above the rim. Jay Triano's Canadian. The game was made by a Canadian. He knows the freaking rules. Unlike the referees who had to go look at it for 1,000 years, but just look at your phone while these guys are doing a video review. There's funny stuff on your phone. That part's unfortunate, no doubt. But Deandre Ayton took this thing home on a glorious, glorious play, and he was a hero. We could talk about this game all day. I'm just going to.
I think the way we should talk about this game is after everybody takes their turn, we go to the scorers table and review exactly what they said. But after every single point, what a crazy last minute of basketball that was. The Suns had the ball and they were down 1 with 9 seconds left. Is that right? And they still pulled out this win because of obviously the missed free throws and the crazy alley-oop. But yeah, man, it really pays off to watch random basketball games over the years, because I don't think that the Jay Triano play is well known, because apparently people were super confused, but you can't have a shot attempt on an out-of-bounds play. Right. So it worked out perfectly, and if you happen to be following basketball and the Phoenix Suns, not a good team back in 2017, that's the only way you know about this. But the Suns knew about it, and it worked out perfectly. It also worked out perfectly that Jay Crowder wasn't right underneath the basket. That pass would be impossible if he wasn't standing, 10 feet further to the left or whatever it is. Gave the perfect angle. He put it right on the rim. I think Deandre Ayton even said, that's Jay Crowder's game winner, really. All he had to do was go up and kind of give it a little David Robinson down. I love the huddle with Monty Williams where he's like, hey, DA, if he throws it, you got to try to dunk it. Good advice. Worked out for the Suns. Crazy stuff.
Oh my God, Lee. Yeah, what a play call from Monty Williams. What a back screen from Booker there on Zubac. Get real physical with him. What a pass, of course, from Crowder, and then what a finish there from Ayton. I mean, this is a massive what-if game here for the Clippers, right? What if Paul George hits a couple free throws, even one maybe? What if the Clippers grab that defensive rebound on the Bridges, I guess, missed 3 in the corner there? Like Trey was saying, where it even just ended up out of bounds. What if they don't even demand an instant replay review on that to allow Monty Williams and the Suns to basically have a free timeout to call up this lob play? What if Cousins makes it a little more difficult for Crowder to not get that angle? Just stand a little bit more, big guy, get his way in front of the rim. There's less than a second. It's probably going to be around there. And what if even Zubac is just parked under the rim and they don't have him moving in space, and then there's a back screen? What if? And here are the Suns up 2-0. And we can get into the whole instant replays and whether this is really bad for the league and all that. But just the game itself. Yeah, well, just for the game itself.
Let's go to the table again.
Lee, I mean, you stayed up, right? You couldn't have gone to bed for this one. I know you like to get your beauty sleep, but this one went late.
Yeah, well, because I got home late, so I started late, so I was behind on schedule, so I was up late, and I was like, I didn't even have the energy to do practice your free throws because I felt so bad for Paul George. Because honestly,
he didn't have the energy to tweet.
I'm so tired.
Because
I wanted to practice anyway.
Like the thing is, the respect I have for how the Clippers stayed in this game. There was a run there in about that third quarter where the Avalanche felt the crowd again going crazy. And Luke Kennard in that fourth quarter actually was huge for the
Nerd Dog, man, was coming through.
Hitting some of those threes, just stepping into them. I'm like, no, great shot, Luke Kennard. You're awesome, dude. That's wild. But for Paul George, he made the great play to get the layup, and then he hit the mid-ranger. He did all the right things a star should do. Good high percentage looks. Gets the lucky call as far as the overturn. He goes to the free throw line, and then he goes long on that second one. And, one of those free throws at least almost guarantees an extension of the game. You know, the Suns were probably going to run a similar play to what they ran there with Ayton. Or no, hang on, they had more time left, didn't they? Actually, they could have maybe gone for a three, but I think they probably would have gone for a Booker mid-ranger to try to extend the game. Who knows? Whatever. Yeah. But
look, if he hits both free throws, they're not losing.
That's right. But I'm saying if he hits one, then they also may not lose on that last possession. It goes to overtime or whatever. But he was clearly struggling last night. Paul George, her legs looked a little bit heavy. He hit the big three though late. He only went 1 for 8 from downtown, and he was trying to do everything that a star can do. He got some help from his supporting cast there. And honestly, you felt the Clippers earned that one. I really do think that everything they've gone through, they played well enough. Now, the overturned call on when Beverley knocked it out of Devin Booker's hands, by the rules,
oh my God,
they got it correct. But we all
that's
know.
Patrick Beverley's signature move at this point. Knocking the ball out of a guy's hand barely in the last couple of seconds. Did it Christmas Day, right, against LeBron a few years back.
Right.
Yep.
So annoying.
It's like, come on, this is so silly. Perfectionism here is ruining basketball and all sports really when it comes to instant replays. I think it is. It just goes overboard. Where
in that instance, again, it's clearly Beverley's movement that knocks the ball out, and yes, it technically comes off Booker's hands. But if you're going to do that, then okay, do it for every single call when it goes out of bounds, on a contested rebound, on a block shot.
The game would take 12 hours long.
Exactly, and those calls would be overturned all the time. And again, we if you're going to follow the rules, fine. But I think we all understand that in basketball, that's not off Booker, that's off Patrick Beverley because he knocked it out. And if you're going to get down and down to the nitty gritty like that, it's going to ruin the game. And that took way too long as well.
The last 8 seconds of this game took 8 minutes, and the last 90 seconds of the game took almost a half an hour.
And what
that's really insane. And look, we're sickos. We're going to watch it. Everybody, I'm sure, watching the show here today or listening to the podcast, we're going to watch basketball if it's 5 hours long because we love it. But it's not for us here where you got to get rid of this and clean it up and maybe just get rid of it completely, all these instant replay reviews. It's for casual fans. It's to get more fans because that's not exciting. If you are on the East Coast or you're international or whatever time it is, like that's not keeping you interested. I know Tassie joked well, look at your phone. There's a lot of funny stuff going on Twitter. Oh man, Lee he didn't have the energy to even scroll. It's too much.
One more time.
The thing is with that, I honestly think they need to be, it's either 30 seconds to change the call or it's a jump ball or you just stick with the call you've got. But dragging it out like that, when we're all watching it going, okay, fine, call it off him then if you're going to call it. But you don't need 6,000 different replays of it. It's the same one when it went off Zubats and Deandre Ayton there as well. We can see it because we get to see the same thing. I'm like, why do they need to continually look at it? It's like, okay, it's off him.
The pendulum has definitely swung way too far that direction because when Booker hit Patrick Beverley in the face and Patrick Beverley flopped, there was no whistle. They just decided after Patrick Beverley was lying on the ground and everyone was complaining that, we're going to go video review it just in case it was a flagrant foul or if it was excessive or whatever. Yeah. And the same thing with that Patrick Beverley off of Devin Booker's hands. Like we all know in basketball, if a guy swipes on the defensive side of the ball and knocks it out, it's the offense's team's ball. Like that's
Right,
it.
right.
That's it. But now, the pendulum has swung, and so we're watching Scott Foster and his what are those shoes? If you guys saw those, I mean, those are like real corrective shoes. They're monstrous. I couldn't get a good look.
Oh my god, I actually didn't notice them.
Oh, they're huge. Yeah, it's hard. It's kind of hard to see. I didn't get a great screen grab, but they're real. They're real old man shoes that are just a little too thick. Okay. But anyways, maybe he's got a sponsorship deal. Maybe Scott Foster's got a shoe sponsorship.
You wearing
deal
Hoka's?
Yeah, that's why he's always trying to get on camera.
It's just it went way too far. And I guess we can be mad about the video reviews. I was a little bit more mad just with Patrick Beverley in general because that's what his reputation is. Tough, hard-nosed guy, plays defense, knocks it off you, but. If you live by that code, like I'm the man every single possession, I'm tough. Mm-hmm. You can't be flopping all over the place. It's got to go one way or the other.
Which one do you want, man? Yeah.
The man has to have a code, and he's breaking his own code. And Damian Lillard was tweeting, flopping all over the place. That's exactly what happened. And Devin Booker showed how tough he is. I think kudos to him and just how hard nose, no pun intended. But listen, like I took a screen grab of his nose to show it to you because I think that thing is broken.
Well, he says it's not. They just said it's crooked and not broken. I showed Nora this and she's like, "What? Oh no!" Like she thought he was a good-looking guy. He is, I think. And she's like, "Oh,
his name is Devin Armani Booker."
Yeah,
that's a good-looking name.
Yeah, the nose is one of the most weirdest sort of injuries because I think it must affect your breathing and your sight as well, like with the swelling and all that. But it's like, just go out there and keep on going. I mean, he's going to have to wear a mask for the rest of the series, isn't he? Because
I think Rip Hamilton was one of his favorite players actually of all time. So he might be pumped to wear a mask here.
He's a big time Kobe fan, right? And Kobe had some great performances wearing a mask. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just reminded, I feel like it was last week we were talking with Cameron Payne. Is the nose a part of the face? And now we got more nose drama. Incredible stuff, especially considering, if you're going deep into Phoenix Suns history, Steve Nash with the broken nose, blood everywhere, just shoving any piece of cotton they can find up there. I guess that's how you fix a bloody nose when you're trying to fix it as fast as possible. Phoenix just looks for any sort of cotton ball. They're like, open those nostrils, bud.
He was like a Formula One driver in the pits when they had the towels up like that, and then it was like they're dropping. All right, get back out there. So, and even on that play, Patrick Beverley's like, "What? I didn't touch him. Wow. And then
he's bleeding from his head. He was like, "I'm bleeding." Well, yeah, you're bleeding because you guys collided. Like that one. Yeah, I mean, he's sticking his head in places where he probably shouldn't. That's how he plays, so it's not a surprise. But I don't think Beverley's purposely trying to jam his head into Booker's nose. They're a little too close and they both get banged up there and had to exit the game and then did return. But yeah, the flop from the forearm from Booker was a little much. And I'm with you, Tass. You're going to be this dog out there and then you're just going to flop around. That's weird. But back to Trey, back to the instant replay though. What do you think we should do to try and fix this? What is the solution? Is it a clock for the referees when they go to the we basically need referees for the referees? Get rid of it completely? What would you do if you're Silver in the rules committee or whatever?
Something's got to change. There's no doubt about that. Honestly, maybe the unified review system that they use for soccer is pretty good, where they have just one person who does it, and maybe a shot clock is what they need. And then we're going to be reviewing. Did they get the review done in 24 seconds? I don't know what it is, but the NBA is going out of their way to combat these offensive players kind of jumping backwards and jumping sideways and turning this into a foul, something that people have been complaining a lot about during this season. Mm-hmm. I feel like after the way things went down last night with you heard it on every single episode of Sports Center. You're going to hear it on a ton of podcasts. You already heard it here once. The last 90 seconds took 33 minutes. And when that's something that keeps coming up in the discussion about the game, it's bad for the game. So they got to speed it up. I mean, you want the right calls in the last 2 minutes, but it's infuriating to stop the game after every single clutch play. Maybe the only one that didn't get stop for a review was when Paul George took it to the hole and made a layup, because that one was kind of in the flow of the game, but it felt like every other play was a stop for something else. So they got to speed it up and they got to just make it happen less often. And I think that the league will do that because obviously they want basketball to remain one of the fastest of the 4 major sports. And it's boring for people who don't care to be like, oh my goodness, they're going to the replay again. But I don't know. I still think that the basketball overcomes it. Like, I still was hyped after last night. And I think even if you're not a total sicko watching that game, seeing that alley-oop, you're still loving it. But of course they had to go to the replay to figure out that, wow, look at that. Only took 0.2 seconds to throw that oop. So try it on your side, Clippers.
Yeah. I'll say shout out to Jeff Van Gundy for being all over knowing the rule there on the broadcast, because the Clippers were confused. You saw Rondo going, that's interference. He can't be over the rim like that. Like, well, yeah, actually he can. And the Suns did it in 2017 with Chandler, and Jay Triano somehow figured out this rule that it's you absolutely can't do that. What's that?
It's a dumb rule. Because if you can't score a basket, why can you offensively goaltend a basket to count? That doesn't seem to make sense at all.
Well, I think they should just get rid of it completely. If you ask me, the whole interference there, being over the rim and stuff like that, like they don't have in FIBA and stuff like that. But get rid of that.
I don't think you can do that in FIBA. I think it's only when it hits the rim then you can put it down, I believe.
That's true. That's
I'm
Are
not
you
sure.
I'm not
100% sure, because again, last night I thought that was offensive interference, because it's like, well, it's a violation if you score the basket, but it's not a violation if you do something would always be a violation during live play.
Yep.
I mean, Jay Crowder, he had no room to get that wrong, and he made it a just incredibly perfect time pass. So he hit that.
And then reacted like he could do it 99 times out of 100, if not 100. 100 was like, yeah.
Well, he's the quarterback, isn't he? He's a high school quarterback, I think. Remember that he hit a full quarter. In fact, wasn't that him who did it? And that didn't count because he was out of bounds when he threw that. I think it banked it in. I believe that was it. I have to go and check that, but I think that was it, because I remember how easily he threw it. And that's when I think Trey said, I used to be a quarterback.
Got an arm.
Makes sense. Yeah. Cannon on him, the boy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his highlight tapes, but I'm guessing Jay Crowder was just dominating all over the field in high school football. Like, maybe he's throwing some deep bombs, but I can imagine he's going for 2,000 yards in a season.
Yeah, so he's Russian, no doubt.
Dan Devine wrote about last night's game. The Clippers are going to kick themselves here for dropping this one task, in which they did limit Booker, like you said. Outside of his shenanigans, Beverley, doing a great job. They threw doubles at him at the right time. And they outscored Phoenix 39-18 from three-point range. And they still lose game 2. But are you giving up on the Clips? This is now the 3rd time they're down 0-2 in a series here. But is this one different to you? Or are you like, you know what? They figured some things out. Ty Lue's got creative. They're in both of these games. There's no Kawhi now, no Chris Paul, of course, for the Suns, and he's rumored to be coming back here for Game 3, so that's maybe trouble for them. But what do you think? Are you ready to bury the Clippers, or are they still in this because they haven't even lost a home game yet?
The Clippers deserve all the respect. As much as most people hate them, and Patrick Beverley earned them some more haters last night, the fact that they didn't go double digits in this game in Phoenix while the crowd was rocking, they deserve all the respect. Of course, this is a killer, and the fact that Phoenix, continues to win now before Kawhi Leonard comes back. They're going to get Chris Paul back before Kawhi Leonard comes back, so they got to get all these wins in now. I think it's the way the Phoenix Suns are playing. They're playing better than the Dallas Mavericks or the Utah Jazz, and that's why they're in the conference finals. That's a pretty dumb thing to say, but that's the way they're playing is so phenomenally well. I think, this is going to be one that the Clippers look back and say, we should have stole that one in Phoenix. Of course, this one's going to hurt a little bit more than going down 0-2 the first 2 times. Plus they're playing every second night and all that, and it's just hard to come back over and over and over again. They're the first team to come back from 0-2 twice. So can they do it a 3rd time? It's obviously possible. I think Ty Lue is pushing all the right buttons. So I'm not questioning that. Inserting Patrick Beverley was huge. I thought Devin Booker scoring 40 in the first game was just going to continue and roll into game 2. I thought Patrick Beverley was too small, but he did a great job getting under Booker's skin. And I think he's still under Booker's skin. I mean, Booker played it extremely well, put his nose on the line on that, setting that pick for sure. But he's got to overcome that in game 3. Zubac starting in game 2 almost worked out. I'm not questioning the Clippers anymore, but PG, he's got to be a little hurt in the heart after that one. No doubt. That's going to be tough to come back from.
The Suns really continue just to get contributions from everyone, it feels like. And it changes maybe from night to night. They won 9 straight playoff games, which is amazing. But last night, Lee, it was, it wasn't Bridges, right, who was struggling with his shot. It wasn't like Crowder who was lighting up from 3. It was Cam Johnson, who comes off the bench and gives them like a huge 11 points. Great play. Didn't miss a shot. It was Saric in moments where like, pick and popping Cousins a little bit there because he's too slow. And then sometimes when man got on him, he's like, well, I'll just go down under the rim and bully him. He contributed. Campaign, like we said, I mean, this is just unreal. This guy at one point was considered the worst player in the league. It's not even an exaggeration. There was a stretch where like
Raptors and Bulls both cut him. And
I know.
Honestly, he sucked back
then.
Sucked.
Yeah.
He sucked. And now the guy's 29 points in a playoff game, like a huge playoff game, 9 assists, not a turnover. Basically, he was like Chris Paul, which is unreal. So they just keep getting all these guys. It's amazing what they just look like such an awesome team. And then you've got the stars in Booker and then Chris Paul coming back. And Ayton, actually, who's been the third best player in this series so far, probably.
Paolo Uggetti tweeted, I can't explain this, but Campaign plays like an elastic rubber band someone is flinging around the court. And I thought that was right because he is a wiry little guy. He's got a bit of an awkward shot. He doesn't have the greatest mechanics in the world. But his confidence level right now is as high as it's ever been. And I think he did play with Monty Williams in OKC as Monty was an assistant coach there. And when Monty called him up last season and said, you want to come and try out in the bubble? He was like, absolutely. And so that has kind of fostered that relationship to the point where now, they're not looking at Campaign as found money, whatever he gives them. It's like he's actually producing for them. And especially, again, like with Chris Paul, I think he's likely to come back for game 3. That's great. They've been able to get these 2 games without having Chris Paul there. And now Devin Booker, of course, had to miss significant, part of the game last night. We're dealing with the nose injury. And the Suns didn't just completely fall apart. Now, I mean, that's a great sign here for Monty Williams that everyone out there feels that it's not just Devin Booker or it's not just Chris Paul or Ayton who's carrying this team. Everyone contributes. And some days it is Mikal Bridges. Some days it's Crowder. Yeah. And last night, Cam Johnson, 5 for 5 from the field. I mean, that is found money, I think, when he comes out there and does it. So,
like Torrey Craig had a game earlier in the postseason, right, where he had a big moment or a big half. Yeah, it's everybody is chipping in,
and that's just a sign of a good, well balanced team that they understand that like you might not get all the minutes one night and all the shots, but when you are called upon, if you're ready to go, you're going to go out there and be expected to contribute. So everything is really in a good spot right now for the Suns because, again, Chris Paul is not coming back from an injury. So he just got a little bit of extra rest for a guy at his age. I think it's a blessing in disguise in some ways. He goes to LA, likely fresh and ready to go. Still don't know about Kawhi Leonard, but I think it's reasonable to assume he won't be playing at all in this series. So the Suns, I mean, they are on the brink of returning to the finals, which is an incredible turnaround for a team that 2 seasons ago had the second worst league in the record in the league, which is incredible to think about.
Who's the last team to go to the finals without making the playoffs the year prior?
I think the Celtics. I think it's
Celtics?
I believe so,
wow,
yeah.
So all the way back then, yeah. And we could have 2 teams, right? In the Hawks, and the Hawks have to pull off the upset here in the Bucks. They could do it. Hawks and the Suns possibly. But Trey, with this one, are you burying the Clippers, or this is still a series in your mind?
I think it's still a series. I think the Clippers will certainly do well as the series shifts to LA, but they honestly should be kicking themselves for not winning one of these 2 games. Game 1, they made 23 pointers. If you make 23 pointers in a game, that's winnable. Obviously, last night came down to free throws and a 1-point loss. That's like either one of those, you got to steal. The Clippers got to get a win in Phoenix at some point. And it's like you had a 1-point game. That's a toss-up. You had a 23-point game. Those are the ones you're supposed to win, especially when you're a team built around 3-point shooting. But they've been resilient all year long. I would say the only button that Ty Lue didn't push exactly right last night was bringing in DeMarcus Cousins to guard the inbounder. Why? Like, I mean, I get it. I get it that he's tall, but like he was kind of standing to the left of Jay Crowder, giving him a perfect lane to the hoop. I thought that was a little bit weird. Bringing in a cold goalie as Gordon Bombay did once upon a time with Julie the Cat Gaffney. Didn't work out quite as well for the Clippers as it did for Team USA, but I do think that the Clips are going to be better. once they get back to LA. They've been great so far. It's impossible to count them out when they're down 0-2 at this point. But the Suns are rolling, and it looks like they're going to get better unless they want to Reggie Miller this and keep Chris Paul out until they actually lose a game. Just keep him on FaceTime.
Whoa. Keep him. I love the FaceTime Chris Paul moments. These are great. The celebration. Deandre Ayton was awesome in his post-game interview too. That guy, he just makes you smile looking at him.
Yeah.
I just love his face, and I love his attitude, and he's very easy to root for. And he had a monster game. I don't want to maybe we glossed over it a little bit because we're talking about the Valley Oop. Shout out to Matt Weiner with that call on Twitter, but he was wicked in the first half too. Again, Ayton keeps setting the tone in so many of these postseason games. What did he finish overall? Like 12 of 15. Playing his ass off defensively too. He's gotten better and better in this league. Being still super young. He was great, Tess.
No, it was absolutely phenomenal. They need him on both ends. He was spectacular. I want to just jump in with one thing. Yeah, I was wondering with DeMarcus Cousins guarding the inbounder, just who else would you have? I thought maybe just somebody a little bit more bouncy. Maybe this is where they miss Serge Ibaka for this one play. Bring him in to block that inbounder. But it is interesting. Bring in a tall guy. That makes sense, right? But then I want to complain about one thing. So those 5 guys that were on the floor for the DeAndre Ayton dunk had to be on for the next play.
Yep.
So the scorer had no idea who it was. They basically had to go back and check the tape. And we had to wait there.
Oh, it took forever.
It did take forever. I mean, that's something that any scorekeeper should just have. It should just be a part of their job, right? Like the 5 guys on the floor. Like, shouldn't that be in the comp? Like,
or
the 5 guys
like
on the floor.
Just press like the 15-second rewind button on your DVR and see who's on the floor and be like, okay, get out here. I mean,
I thought that's kind of what they did, right? They put up a screenshot of Jay Crowder throwing it, and there's not a better way to do that. You just got to go CJ0 on this thing and check what you posted last. Very weird. But people are calling us out here, guys. Literally last year in the finals, both teams went from out of the playoffs to in the finals, the Lakers and the Heat.
Oh my God, the Lakers.
Yeah.
Good call.
Good
call, Leo.
Let me ask you guys something, because as a basketball nerd, I'm obviously loving Cam Johnson come in and Luke Kennard come in and not miss shots. I'm loving that. But I hear from some casual fans that the absence of Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul is kind of taking some shine off this series. Am I just a basketball geek and I'm just loving it? Or is there a little bit of shine taken off of it and I'm just enjoying the fundamentals? I'm just enjoying every guy being out there to contribute.
I guess you could argue it would somehow be even better if both those guys were playing. These last 2 games have been unreal, though. I mean, just the terms of lead changes and how close it's been down the stretch and all these crazy what-if plays. But I guess I understand that. But who cares ultimately if it's an entertaining game, despite all the instant replay reviews last night? That's my opinion, Lee. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you'd love to see them out there, but they're not. So you just have to dance with the one that brought you, and just all right, let's enjoy the game. And it was a great game. We're still seeing star players. I mean, Paul George and Devin Booker. I know Devin didn't shoot all that well last night compared to game 1, but there's still enough star power for us who, if you are occasionally like, man, I love Chris Paul, I love Kawhi Leonard, I'm not watching if they're not. Okay, fine, but we're still watching. We're still loving it. It's still great. I mean,
I don't think, though, the Suns should be allowed to bring Chris Paul back at this point until Kawhi can come back. That only seems fair. Okay, let's make that a rule. TK, what do you think of Tass's thought there?
I feel unqualified to answer this question because I'm going to be watching regardless. And honestly, if it's Campaign and Frank Kaminsky running a pick and roll every single time down the court, I'm probably loving it even more. But I don't know. People are watching. Ratings are up. Maybe that's just because we're seeing, fans and stands, and this is a standard playoffs compared to the bubble last year. But, I mean, the hype would be bigger if we had a finals MVP and a guy in Chris Paul who's trying to win his first title. Obviously, that would be a bigger story, but this is where stars are made, are in the playoffs. Like DeAndre Ayton, I had him as most improved player this year and then was completely disappointed because all he was doing was playing defense. As it turns out, he was just saving it in the playoffs. He's going to keep playing the defense, but has figured out a way to become a fluid offensive player and honestly just dominate the paint. Like, he's holding it down inside, and he's the only guy on either team that really cares about being inside. It's been huge. So it's like, it was exciting, I'm sure, for people when DeAndre Ayton was drafted number 1 back then. Could have easily fallen out of their minds, and now here he is winning the game in the playoffs. That's how you become a star in the future. Not everybody's a star right away.
Yeah. And then I think, even if some fans weren't pumped game 1, Chris Paul's sidelined because of the protocol. Kawhi Leonard is out. You get reeled in because this basketball is just so freaking good. And if you want to watch some men look at a monitor, you got to be excited about that too. No, I'm kidding. But that, like that, I mean, the basketball has to reel you in. It is just so freaking good. And as I said at the beginning, neither team had a double-digit lead in this game. Like for me, that's rare. Always, yeah. And there was barely one in game one, if I remember correctly. So. I mean, maybe a team got up to 10. Maybe I don't even know if that's the case. I mean, it's just been so good. Yeah, the Clippers not falling apart. It feels unclipper-like, but man, they just this is obviously
they hit like. I think Van Gundy said it on the broadcast. They had like an answer three every time it felt like the Suns were going to pull away. Like it was a Kennard three. It was a Reggie Jackson three. It was
Morris hit one.
Morris hit one. It was like, whoa, they always were just sticking around. I mean, even this game, I couldn't believe the Clippers were up at one point. I was like, oh my God, I feel like the Suns are completely outplaying them in this. And somehow, LAC had the lead, which just means for a great finish.
It feels like the crowd is going to sort of somehow be on top of the court, though, too, as well. Like, they are just up and going crazy.
Oh, Mike Breen was standing on the side. I mean, I don't remember seeing Breen do it. Reggie does it a lot because you get people standing courtside, so it's tough to see. But you could see Mike Breen, like he was perched up and he was standing to see the action.
Yeah, we wanted to call the game standing up there like that. Wouldn't that be awesome? And just really like, bang!
Let him roam the court like an and-one commentator.
They're doing that with the cameras right now. Why not do it with Mike Breen out there as well?
That's an awesome idea. Just back to Booker's nose. I've told my story before where I busted open my nose on a trampoline at a high school party, trying to be a cool guy doing a double flip, and just smoked my nose off the metal bar on the trampoline in the backyard, and blood went all over the trampoline. But have any of you guys busted your schnoz? Either broke it or went crooked or just had a super bloody nose? No, Lee, you're shaking your head.
Super bloody. Yeah, I've had a million of those playing basketball, but luckily, never had a broken one. So
Okay.
I've never had a bloody nose in my life.
Wow.
Really?
I got the perfect nose. What can I
say? You don't have a big nose like a lot of us here on the show. Like you got you're just like
thanks, dude. Nice. Small feet, small nose.
It's good.
Stays out of the way. I'm taller than most of the people when you're playing in a pickup game, so I'm avoiding the elbows.
Oh, true.
But I've never even gotten one, like going deep for a boog or something like that. I know they're super common. I've done a lot of dumb stuff. You would think I'd take a shot to the face. Certainly that's happened, but no blood, baby.
Hang on. You grew up in Chicago. Like none of those early morning pickup runs where it's like minus 45 degrees and the ball just like ricochets into your face. That never even gave you a blood nose?
Never had a blood nose.
Wow.
The purest.
Blood
That's
nose.
incredible.
I mean, I think he has helped by being a little taller against all us.
But I mean,
people. Oh, you're right. A ricochet here or there. Yeah. Tess, that schnoz ever been busted open? Baseball, maybe?
It's been exploded once. No, by a fist. By a man's fist made it explode. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like a good story. Care to share?
I mean, it's not a great story. I got blasted in the nose. It was a one-way fight, really.
You got sucker punched?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I knew. Yeah, there was a fight happening. If it was third year of college, I think. My nose was basically below my eye. It went way over. But I had a great guy in the ER, great doctor in the ER, take his two thumbs and just push it back. I barely felt it. I barely felt it, to be honest. I had alcohol flowing through the system, so I barely felt it. But he just cranked it back. I mean, it was bad. It was ugly. Huge black eyes. I think JD, we were in the same class in college. I don't know if you remember.
Of course, I remember. I'm still furious about
JD
that.
punched you. Is that?
Yeah, it was a good punch. I mean, landed really well.
So.
Speaking of quarterbacks, he was the high school quarterback. He was looking for a fight, and that man landed. Found his mark right between the eyes.
Bang!
Breen's there on the call, standing in the corner by the jukebox.
Tessa, I feel like it happened in Woodbridge. Is that correct? Were you in Woodbridge? Okay.
No.
Downtown Toronto.
No, in the SOG.
Oh, he's in the SOG.
A parking lot in the SOG.
Palladium?
No. At a pool hall.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It was good. Yeah, great punch. I mean, it was bad. It wasn't fun. Okay, I'll tell.
Yeah, like were you talking shit to him, or like was it were you
Big
sticking up for a
Steve, Big
buddy or
Steve.
something? Okay.
Big Steve was talking shit like an idiot. It was a bunch of bunch of guys wanted to start a fight, and Big Steve got into it. I, got in there to break it up, and some guy ran out of the back of his car, just turned me around, just hand on the shoulder, turned me around, and just jammed.
Bam! Oh, did you go
gone.
down?
Yeah. Well, I blacked out for a second because I went from because it was a parking lot, and there's nobody around. It's like after closing time. So I went from the back of the car where he jammed me to the front of the car, and I don't remember a thing. Like they were just doing some kicking. There's people screaming. There was So I woke up. I came back to consciousness when the car started, and the car was like the lights came on in the car, and I was like in front of the car.
Wow.
But they drove off, and there was a court situation and all that.
God. I didn't really know the details of this story at all.
Yeah, my buddy Amin had an ugly ass tooth. I saw him in the emergency room. He had a broken tooth. It was
Wow,
like,
you guys,
yeah.
how many guys were there? Or were these guys just like MMA fighters in Mississauga?
It was a 3-on-3, but
Oh, wow.
one team didn't really come to play.
Amazing. Well, I'm glad we got this story. Oh, incredible.
We could go on and on, but
Okay,
it's in the police report. I think those are public record.
We'll get that. JD, can you find that? We can post that later in the show.
I'll hit my dad up. He'll find it for us.
Awesome game. Despite all the delays at the end, I would just like, if I'm being honest, let's just get rid of replay for 1 year. Let's just try it. Just go back to like no replay. Just see what happens. Maybe the opposite. Maybe we're here every second day going, oh my God, can you believe they blew that one after we looked at it? But I guess if you get rid of replay, like for the officials, we almost have to get rid of replay for the broadcast.
Yeah.
Just so we can never see it in super slow-mo with the fandom cam, so we can never then argue about like, oh, who was it out on? I don't know. I'd like to try it. Just switch it up there, Silver.
Shoot for it. Maybe that's the new.
Oh, sure. Sure.
People would love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea, Lee. Oh, man. But you get to pick who. Like,
it's
Ben
like
Simmons, you got to shoot. And stuff
Patrick
like
Beverley
that.
on that one last night. So, all right, Beverley, you have to shoot a 3 for it. If you get it in, it's your ball. If you miss, it's the Suns' ball.
Honestly, that's what we do. Like, obviously, playing pickup. Do it in the NBA would be incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fun idea.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to move on. We got a lot more to talk about. Guys, not too long ago, we started debating the top 5, top 10 numbers. Huh? Yeah, let me explain here. The best number from 1 to 9 is 7. The second best number, well, that's number 1. In the third spot, number 3. That's perfect. 3 and 3. Number 9 comes in at number 4, and number 8 rounds out the top 5. So we have it going 7, 1, 3, 9, 8. That's the top 5, top 10 numbers. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you're a big number 5 guy. Maybe 1 should be 1. Look, I can be persuaded to change my rankings, but I think it's safe to say that one thing we can all agree on is that 6 to 7 p.m. is our time. Our friends at Jim Beam know what's up, and they realize that the loss of the commute between the office and home has affected how we wind down at the end of the day. This is so true. They want to help us beat the burnout and reclaim the hour of 6 to 7 p.m. as our own, our bourbon time, if you will. Works for me. I've been dabbling in bourbon time. Get myself a nice rock glass, throw a nice big ice cold cube in there, add a little Jim. Hit the front porch. I never feel more American than when I'm sitting on the front porch between 6 and 7 p.m. having a nice Jim. That just feels like an American thing to me. Tass, I don't know. You used to sit on the front porch at your old house. I don't know if you're doing it at the new house.
It's a nice Southern U.S. thing for sure.
I love it. Yeah.
Everybody's got to have a front porch down here. You just drive by those front porches, admire those things. They're beautiful.
Exactly.
It's
I just
America.
love to like raise a glass to someone walking a dog down the street. It's just a nice time to salute someone. And
Gotta have a front porch. Gotta have a dog.
Gotta have a gym. Remember, everyone needs some time for themselves. So join us in reclaiming 6 to 7 p.m. as the happiest hour. So you can do whatever it is that makes you happy. Maybe it is just sitting on the front porch, having a gym. And if that involves that glass of bourbon, remember to drink Jim Beam responsibly. Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2021. James B. Beam Distilling Company. Claremont, Kentucky.
Think about all the dumb quarantine purchases you've made. Now think about the one thing you actually need. Yeah, insurance. Everyone needs it, but Americans overspend on car and home insurance by billions every year. And I'm not talking about the show. Never watched an episode of Billions, but I've thought about it every
Same
time
here.
I see an ad.
Yeah, I've also thought about it.
Yeah, I see people talking about it, see people loving it, but I've never seen an episode.
Seems like a show to watch, maybe.
Yeah. That's where the Zebra can help you. Not watch billions, but save you billions. The Zebra is the nation's leading insurance comparison site for car and home insurance. In minutes, compare policies from every major provider for free, all on one independent marketplace. No hidden fees, and the Zebra has no stake in the policy you choose. After a few quick questions, the Zebra pairs people with the right insurance company for them, helping you save time and money. Do it online or over the phone. Make insurance your smartest purchase yet. Visit thezebra.com/nodunks to get your free quote today. That's thezebra.com/nodunks.
Yeah, back with No Dunks. Big numbers here in the stream team today. People were fired up about that game last night. But let's get to the other conference finals, which tips off tonight. The Hawks battle the Bucks in game one. Each team coming into the series off a game 7 road victory in the previous round. Hawks, of course, went into Philly, took down the 76ers, while the Bucks went to Brooklyn and pulled out that overtime win over KD and the Nets. So let's break it down. Keys to the series, and then we'll get to predictions. Trey, get us started. Hawks, Bucks. What are you watching?
I think John Collins has been the unsung hero of the Hawks playoff run here. Had a great quote to Chris Kirschner at The Athletic. John Collins said, "These are meaningful moments right now. I'm proving I can win here. Everything I'm doing on the court is just as valuable as showing I can get 20 or 25 points per game." And I got to agree with them. John Collins was a 20-10 guy. We had him as a potential first-time All-Star, I think, before last season. Obviously, that didn't happen. There was a little bit of drama this season with like getting on the same page with Trae Young. But in the playoffs, John Collins has remade himself just basically as a defensive guy, as a pest to the opponents.
Yeah.
His defense on Julius Randle, I thought, was huge in that series. His defense on Tobias Harris was huge against the Sixers. But now John Collins is probably going to be guarding Giannis, I would have to imagine, with Clint Capella sticking Brook Lopez. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I mean it as a positive. I think John Collins can hold Giannis Antetokounmpo to 32 and 13. And that would be huge. Basically, just battle him, make it hard, and put Giannis on the line when necessary. That's basically what Blake Griffin did. He played with a lot of effort and a lot of physicality. Those are both things that Collins has done really well in the playoffs so far. I mean, you're not going to slow down Giannis. He's going to produce. But if Collins is good enough against Giannis that the Hawks don't have to double all the time and they're not giving up easy three-pointers, something that could be a major disadvantage going against Giannis, can it just be a small inconvenience, if you will? If you're able to guard him almost straight up, that would be huge for the Hawks to not have to devote other resources to try and slow down Giannis inside.
Yeah, that's a good call. He's been great, John Collins, for sure. I feel like a lot of the keys to the series here, correct me if I'm wrong, are going to be maybe from the Hawks side of things, being the underdog, like what has to happen for them to pull off maybe another upset here over the Bucks, who are the heavy favorites. So Lee, what's your key to the series or an X factor? Where are you going?
Well, I'm going with Bogdan Bogdanovic because he's the latest update on him. He's a game time decision for tonight. So I do expect him to play because he's kind of been in that same boat now for the last 3 or 4 games as he was against the Sixers in that second round. And I think you only have to look at the last 3 games to see that he clearly was affected. He only made one of his last 16 3-point attempts, and he just wasn't moving out there. He basically sat on the bench, I think, in the second half of Game 7. He's not shooting the ball well, and that's a clear sign when you don't have your legs underneath you that there's something wrong. So hopefully he's had a little bit of extra time here to rest because he's so important to them as another guy who Trey can shoot the ball to hit those threes. They need him firing threes. He was great against the Knicks. He was great early against the Sixers, and they need him. And also defensively, he's a bigger guy than you think. He's about 6'5". He sort of feels like he's a little bit smaller than that, but he's just really important, I think, to what the Hawks have to do. And if he can't go, then they're already down DeAndre Hunter. They're already down Cam Reddish, who hasn't been on the team at all in the playoffs. So they've tried Kevin Huerta in the starting lineup. Might have to go to Solomon Hill back into the starting lineup, which is not
just
because
of size reasons, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't think he's going to go with Gallinari, Nate McMillan, to start him. So I'm guessing that's who they would go to if Bogdanovic can't go. But if he's back and he's fresh and he's healthy, then that's a huge thing for the Hawks because he can handle the rock a bit, but also when he gets going, he's a very, very important scorer for them. So hopefully he's feeling good and hopefully he's feeling better and is good to go tonight.
Yeah, and he's a fun little narrative twist there too, having been signed by the Bucks or looked like he was going there, and then the tampering and cost him a pick and all that, and finds his way to Atlanta. So that would be if the Hawks were to pull this off and he played well, insult to injury to Milwaukee if they somehow got put out by the guy that they actually had on their team in Bogdanovic. What about you, Tass? What's the key to the series?
Well, I think the coaching is monstrous, mainly from Nate McMillan's side, because, the playoffs are all about matchups, baby. But Nate McMillan's got to push so many of the right buttons because they are the underdog and they have to find a way to get the upper hand. This is going to be the series. They probably missed DeAndre Hunter. Cam Reddish has been upgraded to questionable. Maybe he gets inserted, but that's sort of where I'm worried, that small forward spot, because PJ Tucker or Pat Connaughton is where Trae Young is going to hide. They're going to start PJ Tucker or maybe even Pat Connaughton. Trae Young's going to hide there. But then Chris Middleton is a big problem for the Hawks. Do they put Kevin Huerter on him? He could really hurt him. Or do you bring back Solomon Hill for Kevin Huerter? I'm not sure. Do you put Bogdanovic on him? But then who takes Drew? I mean, there's some perimeter problems there. What happens to Clint Capella, if he gets into foul trouble guarding Giannis, I mean, what do you do? Or John Collins, the same thing. Onyeka Okongwu going to be out there? Is he going to play minutes? Is he going to be able to stop Giannis? I think they just don't have really good matchups. I think from the other side for Bud, his main question is, do I start Tucker? He doesn't really have anyone to guard. I think the Hawks are just so undermanned in this series. The Bucks just have so many of the advantages. And Nate was a little slow last series to implement those changes. He waited until game 4 to start Kevin Huerter, and they somehow made that happen. Obviously, it was successful after a couple of huge comebacks in that series, but I think he's got to be on top of it from the beginning because I get that the Bucks have quote unquote more pressure on them because they're now the favorites in this series, but they got to feel good as a number 3 series, number 3 seed to have home court advantage in the Eastern Conference Finals. It just doesn't happen very often. And I think that the Hawks are sort of just behind the 8 ball to start this series.
The Hawks are going to hope that Holiday shoots as poorly as he did against the Nets. That would really help their chances. He shot 36% from the floor and 26% from 3, Holiday. Will he be that bad again in this series? I sort of doubt it. And he's my key, just what he's going to do defensively on Trae Young. The one time they played this season, Trae Young shot 3 of 17 in his one game. It was his second worst shooting performance of the year. He had 6 turnovers too in that game, and Drew Holiday was the primary defender. He's awesome. He's an all defensive player, and I think Trae Young shot 0 of 8. I saw Schumann break down that matchup with no free throw attempts. So, I mean, look, the Hawks are not going to win these games if Drew Holiday keeps Trae Young to 3 of 17 shooting or 0 of 8 when he's on them. So that's big, and then easy buckets too here. Bucks score a lot in transition. A lot of that comes by way of turnovers, but the Hawks are good at taking care of the basketball for the most part. So which one gives there? They're a huge underdog, but they're fun to root for here in Atlanta. And I think there's going to be a lot of people actually like, oh, this would be awesome if the Hawks could somehow get to the finals. So they're going to have their fan support here from the casuals and the diehards, like the Hawk bros alike. Let's get to predictions though. Trey, who do you like in this? How many games?
The Bucks should be favored. The Bucks should win this series, but I'm taking the Hawks in 7.
Wow.
It's probably not going to pay off, Skeets, if I'm being completely honest. As we said, heading into Nets versus Bucks, this could easily be the NBA Finals here. It ended up going 7 classic games. And to be quite honest, the Bucks handled the Nets pretty well as soon as Kyrie Irving went down. Obviously, the Hawks are undermanned, but they've already won 5 road games in this playoffs, 2 in both series. So I think they can steal one in Milwaukee. And if they steal one in the first couple of games, either tonight or in game 2, the series has changed immediately, and there's definitely a lot more pressure on Milwaukee. So, yeah, I'm rooting for a narrative here. I'm rooting for a city here. Hawks in 7.
Okay, Hawks in 7. Lily, 2 questions. Your prediction, and have you looked at tickets for Game 3 here in Atlanta, mate?
Yeah, I have. I have to say I've probably gone to my last Hawks playoff game. I don't imagine them getting any cheaper from here on out. But I'm taking the Hawks too. Why not? Why not? Trae Young's been incredible to watch this season, and he definitely punches well above his weight out there on the court. I'm not saying he's Allen Iverson, but he's got the vibe, that tiny guy out there who you just sort of think like, how does this guy go into the paint fearlessly like that and score? He hits the 3-pointer. He's got the sort of like, people hate him. He's got that like, the villainous quality to him as well. I mean, Allen Iverson's very popular, but he was also like the sort of guy who'd love to go on the road and get a big win. And
it's just the smallest guy on the floor with the biggest heart. It feels
exactly,
like
and he is not afraid at the moment. I was really, really impressed with his Game 7 performance because he was shooting so badly, but he didn't stop shooting. He hit that massive 3 late in the fourth quarter, which was a deep bomb. So he's like, listen, we're going to go out emptying the clip, and that's what I love about him. So I'm pulling for the Hawks. Why not? We're down here in Atlanta. I think the Bucks are favorites and deserve to be, but I say the Hawks can do it. Another closeout game on the road. Hawks in 7.
We got 2 Hawks in 7, bros. This is
I'm a big time homer, and I love it.
Come on, be the voice of reason, man. Where are you going, Taz?
Well, the reason why I'm going to pick the Bucks is because I want the Hawks to win. Let me explain.
Okay.
The Bucks, yes, they are absolutely the favorites, and because they were, the underdogs in the Nets series. I think if people start picking the Hawks, people start getting on them, they can use that as bulletin board material, and then they can feel like the underdogs again. So I'm taking the Bucks with the hopes that the Hawks win. I do think the Bucks are going to take this series, but I'm obviously cheering for the hometown team. I think, as Trey said, it really comes down to the first couple games. That it happened in the Philly series. That has to happen, and it could happen. The Bucks almost lost Game 1 of that Miami Heat series where they were clearly the better team. It was super duper close. It came down to a Chris Middleton game winner, but I'm not giving Milwaukee any more bulletin board material here, so I'm taking the Bucks in 5, but Hawks in 7.
Okay. An excellent Jennifer Hedger there from you. Shout out to TSN. That's the turning point. Gino Reda. I'll take Bucks in 6 is where I'm going with this. You're right about the Hawks. Like, it's not far-fetched to see them win one of these 2 games in Milwaukee. They won both Game 1s, right, of their last 2 series to start it off. And why not? Why couldn't that be possible again? What type of Trae Young performance? But I do think Brooks deterring maybe some of these floaters inside that Trae gets, but he's so smart because he doesn't go all the way to the rim, so it's still there. He just has to knock him down. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a great series here still, but I'm going to take Milwaukee because it does feel weird to say like, oh, Bucks Nets, man, whoever wins that is probably going to win the title or at least go to the finals because the Suns look like incredible right now. Be weird to switch that up. So I'll go Milwaukee in 6, but let's hear from the stream team, your predictions, who you're cheering for, some X factors, leave them there or leave them in the YouTube comments. And we'll, of course, be back tomorrow to break down Game 1, which is hopefully just as entertaining as at least the first 2 games in the Western Conference Finals have been. All right, before we start wrapping this up, we had other big news last night. This feels like it happened like 10 days ago to me. I don't know why, but the Detroit Pistons finally lucked out in the NBA lottery, and they won the number 1 pick last night. They're positioned to draft the consensus best prospect, Oklahoma State star Cade Cunningham, or, go in a different direction, maybe. USC center Evan Mobley is a possibility. The Rockets, Cavs, Raptors, Magic round out the top 5. We're showing everybody the lottery results here on YouTube, of course, in the stream team. First time in franchise history, the Pistons draft pick moved up by way of the lottery rather than moving down or staying put. So that's great. They got the first pick for the first time since 1970 when they took Hall of Fame center Bob Lanier. Shout out to big Bob Lanier. He had some big shoes, didn't he, TK?
Giant shoes. That's like one of the 2 things I know about him. He's a Hall of Famer, and his shoes are giants.
Yep. Big Bob Lanier.
But how's Cade Cunningham's feet?
I don't know. I'll have to check the combine on that one. Besides the Pistons, though, the question is, who was the biggest winner from last night? Tass, I'm guessing you would agree with me that it's that it is the Raptors, because the back half of the draft lottery, it went chalk. None of the teams that were slotted from like 8 through 14 jumped into the top 4 selections. And then boom, Toronto slotted at 7th. Oh my God, their little logo is not there in the card from Mark Tatum, and they jumped up 3 spots to the 4th overall pick. That's the largest jump that any team made in the lottery this year. This is big for Raps fans, especially in a draft where the draft experts say it's a top heavy draft where it's like maybe your top 4 or 5. You're like, wow, you're very excited about any of the players that you get at that number there.
Yeah, but I will throw in Houston as a second winner as well. They went from possibly having the number 18 pick to having the number 2 pick. That's nice. Good. That's very, very good. But yeah, of course, saying the Raptors up there, even though they finished in the worst spot that they possibly could after jumping to the top 4. So the drama of the television got me. Had to wait for that commercial break, thinking that the Raps are going to be jamming at the top. But then, Big Ben Wallace just swatted them down to the 4th spot because he worked hard.
Good D.
Great defense. But yeah, I wore this championship.
There you go.
From Stefan Vasilev, this championship shirt for today because it feels like a bit of a championship. It's a deep draft, I've heard.
Yes, it's a top heavy. Hold on, is it deep or is it top heavy? Which one is it? It doesn't matter. We'll have some draft experts on as we get closer and closer to the draft because that is the one thing we do not pretend to know a ton about outside of like watching the highlights and the big names and stuff like that. But yeah, Raps winners, Rockets big winners. You're right, and of course the Pistons. Very happy for their fans. Biggest loser though, TK. Who would you go with from the draft lottery last night?
Well, the biggest loser personally for me. Devils lost their pick to the Magic, and 4 of the top 5 picks in this top-heavy draft skeets are going to the Eastern Conference. Ooh. 2 of those, 1 going to the Pistons and 1 going to the Cavs, who the Bulls will be playing a lot after missing the play-in. Pretty bad beat for Chicago last night, but I don't think they're actually the biggest losers. That, to me, has got to be the Thunder. They had a chance at 2 top 5 picks heading into the lottery. They had a 52% chance that theirs finishes in the top 5. Plus a 48% chance that Houston would drop to number 5. If that hits, you got 2 top 5s in a loaded draft, including a local number 1 prospect. Instead, they dropped all the way down to number 6 and had previously lost a coin toss with the Cleveland Cavaliers, who moved up to number 3. So bad stuff for the Thunder last night. If the Raptors got a gift after a trash season, feels almost the reverse for the Thunder, who blatantly tanked as hard as they possibly could and then had terrible lottery luck. You hate to see it.
Yeah. What'd they lose? Was it something like final 21 of their last 25 games when they were just sitting every guy imaginable? Oh, Shea, your foot sore? Nah. Oh, Dort, what's wrong with you? You got migraine? No, don't play. Tony Bradley was too good at one point. They were like, nah, Tony Bradley, you can't play for us anymore. The basketball god said, no, come on. That was a little too blatant for our liking and did not reward them. Lee, any other winners or losers to add from last night?
Well, only that the Timberwolves also lose their pick that goes to the Warriors. If that fell into the top 3, I think the Wolves would have kept it, but it didn't. So that's from the Andrew Wiggins trade. So the Warriors just steal another little asset out of that deal. And that's tough for the Timberwolves because obviously they would love to get some more young talent on that team. So as it stands right now, I believe the Wolves do not have a first-round pick in this year's draft, which is a little tough for them.
Will any of these, top, let's say 10 picks be moved in a big deal here as we get closer to the actual draft too? Saw a lot of Kings fans saying they got to do everything they can to try and get Ben Simmons with their pick and whatever players it would take to try and entice Daryl Morey and the Sixers to make a move there. We'll see. We'll see as we get closer and closer. Like I said, we'll bring in some draft experts and we'll start coming up with all the hypotheticals, the what ifs.
How about you Raptors experts? Would you trade the number 4 pick?
I don't think
theoretically you're a team that's close, and maybe a star would help more than a draft pick.
That's tough.
In a heartbeat.
For who though? For who, Tass?
Yeah, that depends. That depends. Hey,
Beal.
Listen.
Let's say Bradley Beal is the biggest name that's gettable out there.
I think so.
Yeah.
You'd have to have some draft knowledge to know that the guy at number 4 isn't going to be, the equivalent of Bradley Beal somewhere down the road. Like, think that anyways, at least have that
Jalen Green's
prospect.
like a really good sort of scorer, and they think in the half court, that the Raps could. That's the Raps' flaw, right? Like half court offense. They need that. So if it's Beal, yes. Is Jalen Green that guy right away? I don't know. I mean, that's what, again, people say he could be.
Timelines, man. Timelines.
Yeah.
Timelines.
Yeah.
And then you turn and trade Kyle Lowry for maybe some sort of future prospect as well. So play both sides perfectly. Do it now, do it later, get a future asset for Kyle Lowry. Because I think the Thunder have to trade up. I mean, I don't understand why they accumulate all these draft picks to obviously it's hurtful. It's hurtful to drop, as Trey outlined very well. But even for the beginning of the season, the fact that the play-in tournament worked for this reason. The only team that was tanking from day one was the Thunder. And usually in a season, you see like 3, 4, 5 teams not trying to win. But 29 out of the 30 teams were trying to win. And the Thunder go from, trying to be bad, and then Pokuševski's hitting too many freaking shots. Al Horford hitting too many shots.
Shea's playing too well. Yeah.
Everybody sit. So it is definitely karma. But at the same time, Presti can't be sitting on these picks thinking, I love this number 6 pick we've got. They've got to try and move up, right? They have to me.
They'll probably give it a go. Final question with the draft lottery. We did a happy hour last night, so that's really my favorite moment, just hanging with you guys, going over salmon recipes is what I really liked. But from the actual draft itself, I'll answer first. My favorite moment, and I said it when we were live doing our show. I was like, well, that's a meme. Somebody clip that and post it right away, please. I think ultimately the Ringer maybe got to it first. It was Swin Cash and her reaction to the Pelicans not moving up in the draft. It's so good. I love it so much. It's a great reaction. You can use that for so many things. And also power. Is that a blazer? I guess you could call it. Just an awesome outfit she's wearing here. I don't know if it's a dress or a blazer. I can't tell, but
looks like a blouse with sequin.
I mean,
but who knows?
Great reaction. Lee, anything else that you were a fan of? I know we were pumped about Ben Wallace. He looks still awesome, and him getting the number 1 pick, just outworking the draft, like he said.
No what a great quote. They asked him, "Did you bring a good luck charm?" He said, "No, I'm the good luck charm. I figure after all the work I put in, nothing but good things can happen." How was he right? Attitude. How is he right about that? Hard work pays off when it comes to balls just bouncing around in a hopper.
I mentioned it on the happy hour. I just would have liked him in the big white sweatband headband, because that's how I sort of remember Ben Wallace. But he didn't need it last night. He doesn't need luck. He's just going to intimidate those balls. They're not going to be not going to go to anyone else.
Don't we usually get like a Zach Lowe article where he's like in the back room when the actual draft lottery is happening? It's like, I know Ben Wallace wasn't back there as well, but that'd be a funny story if he was. He's just staring at that lottery ball machine, just growling at it, making sure the right ball comes up, the right number. Tass, anything else that jumped out at you?
Oh, yeah, it's the year of the big man. You had Ben Wallace and Akeem Olajuwon, those two guys battling for the number 1 and number 2 picks, sitting there in their chairs battling in different rooms. But I guess. I was not paying attention. We watched basically just Mark Tatum pull out the 14 cards, and no disrespect to ESPN's coverage because they do what they need to do to make it interesting. But I feel like I'm a winner because I didn't watch half an hour of that. I watched 12 minutes,
right?
Because it's just here are the prospects, and I would have got to know the prospects a little bit more if I did watch the entire half hour because that's what they do. They talk to the players. I know nothing about college ball, so that would have been beneficial for me. So actually, maybe I'm a loser. But it was entertaining, I guess.
Yeah. Sure.
I guess that's the same stuff every year. There aren't moments. We talked about it yesterday. Are there moments? I mean, no.
Not really. It's usually like reactions, like "Yay, we won," or "Oh crap, we didn't move up." I think who is that old Pacers woman? Had a sort of they just cut to her after they didn't move anywhere.
Leonard, perhaps was.
And it was just like
Leonard's.
So, and it was like just a quick reaction shot, and people clip it and again caption it or whatever. That's it. But you're right. Not much happens. More entertaining in the actual draft night when you see what everybody's wearing and some of the things said about them and some of the old exposed takes that come out of a potential draft night. Like, I don't know about this guy, or this guy's not that great. And then 10 years later they're an MVP and they're clipping it.
All right, Skeets, let's say you get chosen as the Raptors draft representative.
Yeah.
Do you go in knowing you've got 2 reactions you got to have? You got to have a happy one, and you got to have a disappointed one. Are you brainstorming ahead of time? Do you have a draft board for your lottery reaction?
Wow. Great question. Never thought about it. I wouldn't plan for a disappointed reaction. Don't go in with that mindset. I'd only plan like, what am I going to do when we jump up to the top 4, when we get the number 1? But I also liked your top list for top 4, and that backfired. Like, would they let me on the broadcast go topless? Sitting there.
I think so. Yeah. Just sitting at the podium, no shirt on.
Hilarious.
Everybody else in suits. You're like, let's go. Top 4.
Yeah, I don't know, but I wouldn't plan for the bad outcome. Though those are the funniest reactions because they're real. Swin cash. God damn it.
The people are saying you would have a tempered boy reaction.
Just flip everything. Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good call. Let's take one more break here before we get to Lili's tweet of the night.
Yeah, so guys, last night Lincoln made dinner.
Wow.
It was great. It was ribeye steaks, twice baked potatoes, maple bourbon carrots.
Excuse me?
It was awesome. I volunteered to clean up, and my God, that simple meal I just described, he used literally every pot and pan in the place. It's time to get Freshly back in the rotation. As Keats, you mentioned it before, low-key underrated part of Freshly is the elimination of cleanup. Freshly offers chef-made, nutrient-packed, delicious meals delivered fresh to your door. No cooking required. Ordering is easy. Visit freshly.com and choose from over 30 delicious, satisfying, better-for-you meals like steak peppercorn, sausage-baked penne, and their chicken pesto bowl. Your meals are always delivered fresh, never frozen, and are ready to heat and enjoy in just 3 minutes. With new meals added each week, Freshly brings the convenience of chef-made, nutritionist-designed classics right to your kitchen. Right now, Freshly is offering our listeners $40 off your first 2 orders when you go to freshly.com/nodunks. Stop stressing about dinner and cleaning up after dinner. Go to freshly.com/nodunks for $40 off your first 2 orders. That's freshly.com/nodunks for $40 off your first 2 orders.
For most of us, learning a second language in high school or college wasn't exactly a high point of our academic careers, but for me, it was. I got a 90 in Spanish and a 94 in Greek that I pulled over from my Saturday classes that I graduated on, and that boosted my average, and that got me into college where I met these 2 dudes here with me here, and hey, we started a program, and here we are years later talking about it.
I've never heard you call the podcast a program.
Thanks for tuning into the program.
But it is.
Now, thanks to Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app, there's an addictively fun and easy way to learn a new language. And as travel starts to open up, this is the perfect time to start something new with Babbel's easy-to-use lesson plan. It's easy, it's quick. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel, no, real stuff. Their lessons were created by over 100 language experts. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Try and beat my 94 out of 100 in my Spanish class. Actually, I think I got 90 in that one with Senora Garcia. She kicked ass. She was great. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation and accent. Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use promo code NODUNKS. That's BABBEL.com, code NODUNKS for an extra 3 months free. Babbel, language for life.
The beginning of any journey can feel daunting. You're not sure you're heading in the right direction, and maybe you don't know exactly what to prepare for. With Credit Karma, you can become more informed about what's ahead. Credit Karma's game-changing technology shows you tailored offers for credit cards and personal loans that you're more likely to be approved for, so you can apply with more confidence. They use your credit and other financial information to show you custom recommendations. Whether you want cash back, travel rewards, or to consolidate debt, Credit Karma can help you find the offers that fit your goals. With a selection of options and approval odds, you have the power to make informed decisions. So go to creditkarma.com/nodunks today to see your offers on the Credit Karma app. Apply with confidence today. Go to creditkarma.com/nodunks or the Credit Karma app.
Back with No Dunks, time for tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow. Twitter.
My man, Lily, what do you got? So many good tweets last night.
Yeah. Going with this one that came in yesterday sometime, and it came from Jordan Brand to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the WNBA's inaugural game. Jordan Brand is proud to announce its largest female roster ever, a group of inspiring women whose impact extends far beyond the court and who continue to prove they're here for a reason. And then they put out this photo as well of Michael in there with cool. All those women. And I think this is just such a great image. The most famous basketball player of all time, really putting his name out there and attaching it to the women's game, which I think is just a significant, monumental moment for the game, because the WNBA certainly has grown over the last couple of years in terms of its appeal and the games and that, but still there's a big difference in terms of how much money the game generates and how much money the women then earn to play. Now there are still plenty of bridges that we have to cross, but I think when you have the biggest name on the man side there, really promoting it and marketing the game, that's going to help. And I just think that's an awesome look there for Michael, for Jordan Brand, for Jumpman Brand, and for women's basketball, not just within America, across the world. So congratulations to Jumpman and women's basketball.
Good stuff. Did you see, Trey, you probably did because you're the soul man here, DeRozan's Kobe's like custom Kobe kicks that were the WNBA like orange
inspired by like Kobe sitting courtside with Gianna back in the day wearing the orange hoodie. Yeah, those are really cool.
Yeah. So you can't buy those. Those are just like for DeRozan.
I mean, I assume right now they're just DeRozan PEs since he's got, a Nike deal and he's had sick Kobe PEs for a long time, but they're getting great reviews on Twitter, and obviously the WNBA is getting a little bit more cultural backing for sure. And that orange hoodie by itself was like a huge success, kind of changing the image of the league and making it just a cool piece to have. So I can see that being the case as Jordan Brand and Nike gets deeper and deeper into women's basketball. I know that Laura's favorite shoe of all time still is the Cheryl Swoops, so maybe they'll bring those back as well.
Wow.
Yeah, asymmetrical lacing, great for bad ankles, which run in the family, unfortunately.
Does Laura have bigger feet than you?
We share shoes.
Wow. That's awesome.
Her shoes are my shoes.
Her shoes are my shoes. All right, well, let's call it there. Fun Wednesday podcast. Guys, keep your questions and your comments coming. nodunks@theathletic.com. Send them in, email them in, or tweet them in at @NoDunksInc. We'll be hitting the beach again next week, probably on Wednesday, so you got a lot of time to get your questions and comments. And we did hit the beach yesterday. If you didn't go listen to yesterday's podcast, did like a good 30 minutes on hypothetical Ben Simmons trades. We had them go into like 7 or 8 different teams, breaking down the pros and cons of some of those deals that a lot of you sent in by way of Twitter. And then we hit the beach to answer some of your questions. So check out Tuesday's podcast. Thanks to everybody who joined us last night for I can call it very weird. No Dunks happy hour draft lottery watch party. It was one of the odder ones we've done, but sure. Larfs were had. So thanks to everybody that rolled through. If you don't have an athletic subscription, go to theathletic.com/nodunks so they know that we sent you, and go to nodunks.com for your No Dunks gear, like this big beef shirt that I got on there.
Nice.
Somebody was asking, why do we do this to show off our shirts and not stand up? Right? To show off our shirts? Like, are you guys like naked from the waist down?
Yeah, that's in our mailbag episode next week. It's already scheduled.
Okay, awesome. Well, then I won't speak to it anymore. I knew I saw it somewhere. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
it was in yesterday's show, but then you decided to throw in those Ben Simmons trades. So we're saving it for next week. Yeah, there's a conspiracy theory out there that there's a reason that no one stands up rather than
instead of stand.
Well,
I wear shorts. I'm not gonna. I wear shorts all the time. So,
Okay, that's why we don't stand.
Here's why we don't
Even
stand. It
weirder.
looks stupid, and then when I'm standing up here, I can't talk into the mic. I mean, I guess you can hear me.
Just a torso.
Yeah.
Temper boy becomes torso boy. That's very weird. I guess we're getting into it now. Yeah, I tried to stand up on the podcast once, and I threw my microphone everywhere, and it made a huge racket. So that's personally why I like to just pop the shirt. That's all people care about, anyways.
Yeah.
The conspiracy theory out there is that we're all wearing underwear.
Right.
And we don't want to show waist down.
Well, and people think that because when you dropped your computer the one time, you could quickly see your
There it is.
shorts.
Your
Your
shorts.
shorts.
Rolling it in right now.
So
Are those shorts or are those undies?
Yeah.
People thought those were underwear.
Right.
Now,
Slow-mo. Slow-mo replay.
Oh,
Go
it's
to
gonna
review.
Scott
Scott
Foster.
Foster.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God! Look at this
What an
cross
angle.
shot.
What an angle.
I'd love to
Yeah.
hear Van Gundy talk about this.
Those are some pull-and-bear shorts that have pulled a little bit tighter over the years because they've been in the wash, they've been in the dryer. I love them, so I still wear them, but definitely no underpants. I mean, they look small.
Yeah, they look like briefs. They could.
They
be,
look
yeah.
tidy, but after you sit down, you hike them up to get ready for the show. Sometimes they ride.
There it is.
A 5-inch inseam, perhaps, maybe. But they've just gotten smaller. It's this woven fabric that's really gotten a lot smaller. But I still love them. Can't let them go.
Lee, could you stand up for me?
Yeah, of course.
Just
I've got the white ones on again.
Okay, great. Wow. Looks like you're wearing linen pants.
Yeah, they're like sweatpants, but they're short sweatpants. Yeah,
Okay.
very comfortable. Very comfortable.
Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember,
Brace the day, people. Brace the day.
You could